Hi everybody, this is Dan Stolbarger. Welcome to this week's KFIR Middle East Update, the week of August 28th, 2020. So content for this week, we do our news bites and then major articles on Israeli skies. When are they opening? Kind of a lot about Mike Pompeo, Middle East summits, Hezbollah, balloon war, Gaza, and also a quote from the mayor of Sderot. So that's kind of what's in front of you. Just as a reminder, make sure you go to our website at holygroundexplorations.com in order to access the PowerPoint that accompanies this, along with the photos, and again, much more information than what I have time for on this 10-minute YouTube. So we start with what we call our news bites. Interesting. The top leaders of Hamas have essentially just gone into hiding out of fear that they will be targeted following the recent wave of rockets and balloon attacks on Israel, because the Israelis, rumor has it, that they're once again thinking through the whole concept of targeted assassinations. And so with that in mind, the leaders are scurrying for cover. A couple things on anti-Semitism, the Anti-Semitism Watch. An e-commerce website last year sold t-shirts containing just the word Xylon B. You might look at that, and underneath it is a statement that reads, "Make Israel Palestine again." Xylon B? Yeah, that's the gas used by the Nazis to exterminate the Jewish people. Rise of anti-Semitism? I think so. Another one, anti-Semitic posters blaming Jews for the coronavirus. They appeared in an Argentinian city of Neuquén, located about 700 miles south of Buenos Aires. And the posters contained phrases such as, "The Jews are the virus," and "Argentines, you need to wake up to the world Jewish dictatorship." So again, worldwide, comes as no surprise. We know that it will continue to grow. And just our commitment here from KFIR is that we just want to make sure that we report on these things as we see them take place. Now, specifically Israeli skies. When will Israel's borders be open to foreigners? Recently, we've just heard, actually this has kind of been coming out since early March, that sometime early fall, the goal is to open Israeli skies. It's still a question because with COVID, numbers seem to always continue to increase. But the Israeli Tourism Association, the CEO of that, Yossi Fatal, is hoping that inbound tourism for the final quarter of the year will alleviate some of the major losses in tourism. So we'll have to wait and see if that's the case. Again, there are some plans that are out that would allow foreign tourists to enter Israel at the end of this month. These would be the so-called green countries. But as a ministry, Holy Ground Exploration, that does tours, we have late fall tours that we're already looking for backup dates in early spring, just in case. And if truth be known, I have a feeling that the latter will be when our next tours go out. So stay tuned. Go to our website, again, Holy Ground Exploration, if you're interested in going to Israel. I'll be honest with you, my wife has said over the years, each time that we go to Israel, she says, I wonder when the door will actually close to Israel. And each time we go, you kind of scratch your head, and who could have ever seen COVID-19 coming down the pike? When we did, we happened to have been in Israel during the time in which the doors were closed. We were one of the last groups out of Israel. And so I always want to stress, when the doors open, if you haven't been, and if you love the Word of God, you need to go to Israel. So see if any of our tours, again, we have and the dates on our website probably have the late fall, but very soon we'll have that updated on our sites. I think sometime in the February timeframe, we'll have a couple tours going out. Again, send us an email if you're interested. All right? God bless. Okay, so what else has taken place? Well, we know Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, he took a sudden trip to Israel, and the question is being why. It's kind of being billed as a further push towards strengthening Israel's cooperation and normalization with the Arab world. But I got a feeling it's even more than that. We'll talk a little bit about Bahrain and others that may be on the fence, but with Hamas's balloon war, and this is not, when we say balloon war, it seems like it's something trivial. No, it is major. The amount of damage that these balloons are doing, just burning, starting massive fires in southern Israel, is no small thing. But because of this, and because of sort of the recent flare-up with Hezbollah on the north, it seems as if Pompeo's visit has much more to do with sort of a coherent regional strategy in order to counter, because both Hamas and Hezbollah, as you know, are just lackeys, tools of Iran. And so even though getting these other countries on board, that's more of a long-term mission that I think we'll talk a little bit more about in the upcoming peace summit. But specifically, I think it's to deal with, should Israel retaliate now? And if so, what does that retaliation, what is it comprised of? Is it simply lashing back in a major way to both Lebanon, Hezbollah border, and Hamas on the Gaza border? Or does it even go further to Iran? So I think all of that's on the table and behind the reasons for Pompeo's visit. Now, we did mention the peace summit, and this is sort of surfacing that this trip, I think Jared Kushner is there as well, is laying the groundwork for an upcoming peace summit. Sources familiar with this issue have said that the summit will take place in one of the Persian Gulf sheikdoms, adding that the U.S. is trying to secure the participation of Bahrain, Oman, Morocco, Sudan, Chad, alongside of Israel, the United Arab Emirates. Others include Saudi Arabia and Egypt and Jordan. So we're going to have to wait and see how this surfaces and what kind of pressure that puts on Iran. Again, Bahrain, that's the big country that's on the fence right now, are the first country that may be part of the dominoes that are falling over. Pompeo was there, and he wants to seize the momentum of the deal with the United Arab Emirates, and so we'll have to wait and see how that transpires on his return trip home. So all of that's going on, but now let's take specifically, there's an article here with the headlines that I hope catches your attention that says, war is coming. So when Oman and Bahrain, if and when they join the Abraham Accords, that's what Abrahamic Accord is going to put massive pressure on Iran. Can you imagine Israel having F-35s in striking distance of Iran and Israeli tech supporting the security of these three nations? Iran understands that the unthinkable for them has finally happened, and their march across to the region, it may be imperiled. And that's why Gaza is open. That's why we've got this incursion on the northern border with Hezbollah. And so the question is that as all these dominoes start falling, what's going to transpire? We're seeing Iran's initial response being that it's going to create as much chaos as it can in these particular areas that they still have a stronghold. So make no mistake about it, war is coming. The sides are crystallizing, and we're only witnessing the opening salvos at this particular time. Well, with that in mind, I'm just about out of time. Take a look at the article on what transpired in the north with Hezbollah shooting at Israelis and Israeli retaliation. We mentioned the border war in terms of these incendiary balloons that are being launched. There's an article about that. And then I'll end with this. This is that quote of the week for me. This is the mayor of Sderot, and we're in that little city often when we go to Israel to lend our support to a country that's on the receiving end of the majority of rockets that are sent from Gaza. His quote: during a week when everyone has been talking jubilantly about peace for peace, it is not at all clear to me which world we're talking about. You see, in our city, Sderot, in our city, there's war. There are missiles and a lack of basic security for our residents. Prime Minister Netanyahu, the Ministry of Defense, Benny Gantz, you need to wake up. The residents of Sderot and the Gaza envelope are running to shelters from incoming missiles. Our children live in a routine that is constant emergency, even while Hamas and Islamic Jihad in Gaza walk around freely, courtesy of our government. This is the issues that face Israel today. Time's up. God bless. Shalom until next week. Please share this with a friend and get as many people as you can to sign up for our KFIR global community. Shalom.